in those 1 or 2 weeks, that's where you're going to blow your accounts. That's where you're going to let your psychology slip up. That's where you're going to change your strategy, and from that point onwards, never find success because you've literally left everything behind which you were working so hard to achieve. You're now not confident to take the trade when it comes to that next A-class setup. And guess what? Now, right, now that you've missed that A-class setup, then you go back the next day to thinking, oh, maybe my setups are coming back again. Maybe now I should look to take a trade on Tuesday, right? And then guess what? There's no trade. But even though there's no trade, you're still forced to trade because you missed the one on Monday. And the reason you missed the one on Monday is because you changed your strategy on the 2 weeks there was no trades. And as a result, you go through it like literally a never-ending spiral of failure after failure after failure, and you never see success. Yes, guys. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, guys, we are back with another motivational video. However, this one is going to have a slight spin on it. This one I want to speak about how to make your first 10K a month, or your first 10K in general through trading. Because I know for a lot of people, that is a goal. For me, that was one of my goals when I was first trying to learn how to trade, was of course to hit, 10K profits on a funded account, 10K in a trade. Now it's more like 10K in a day, but we all start somewhere, and for most of us, that's the goal. For most people, to hit a 10K month seems insane. Like, I remember when I was at uni, which wasn't so long ago, this was literally like 2 years ago, sorry, I was at uni. And I remember speaking to people about, the sacred, the goal of 10K a month, right? Because people idolize that so much. Everyone thinks 10K a month is like, you've made it in life. And it's good, but you haven't made it in life. There's levels to the game, trust me, right? But 10K a month is good for sure. And even to most people, that seems impossible. People think that, how can you possibly make $10,000 or £10,000 in a month? And I'll get into that in this video because it is possible with trading. I've done it. I've done almost 10K days, and you can also do the same if you do these things that I'll tell you throughout this video. It's not going to be in any particular order. Now, I try and make these videos as raw and as authentic as I can, but for this example, I'm going to be using some notes I've made. I've got a list of, I think, seven different points which will help you get to your first 10K month. So make sure to stick through everything because they're all going to be important. So let's get right into this video. So the first thing, right, when it comes to hitting your first 10K month through trading is you need to be obsessed with mastering the skill of trading and not, for example, focusing so much on the goal of making X amount per month. Because when you're focused on making certain amounts per month, okay, like for example, the 10K a month, which we'll be speaking about in this video, then you're going to be way too focused on hitting goals every single month. Whereas if you're focused on waiting for the best trades and not focusing on how much money can I make this month, then that's how you're going to be the best possible trader. Because trust me, trading is a game of patience, and it's not a game of trying to force trades or trying to make money or trying to hit a certain goal. Because if you're trying to do that, you're going to realize very quickly that it's a lot harder to do it that way than to just focus on the things you can control, such as trading your strategy correctly, having good risk management, sticking to your plan. Whereas if you're trying to just deviate from that to hit a certain amount every single month, you're not going to be profitable. Now, this is actually very important to speak about, and it's something that I see on TikTok all of the time, right? People in my comments sometimes say, oh, how much do you make a month, right? Or do you consistently make money? The answer is it depends on the month. Now, for a lot of people, they won't really understand that because they don't trade. But this is what you need to understand, is that trading is random every single month. So because it's so random, for you to go into trading 1 month, having a good month, to then think the next month needs to be exactly the same or more is not smart at all. And that will be your downfall. Every month in trading, I'm well aware that even if I have 3 good months in a row where I make 20K plus pounds, the next month I could make nothing. I could lose money if the market conditions are bad, like they have actually been quite bad this month. right? It has not been a great month for me. I'm still in profit, but it's not been amazing, right? But this is the thing. If I'm going into April thinking I have to hit 20, 30K a month, then I'm going to just lose everything I've worked so hard to get, such as all of these funded accounts and whatever else you've achieved in that period of trying to learn how to trade, whether you traded on a live account or a funded account. Personally, for me, I only trade fundeds, but I will be looking to get into live accounts soon. But the point is, if you're focused on making money and not focused on perfecting and trading your strategy exactly how you plan to, you will be a bad trader. Sorry guys, my camera literally just fell and yeah, it's not great. But okay, point number 2, right? You want to trade one setup, trade one time zone, and trade one pair. This is the reason, right, why I only really trade GBP USD. Actually, I sort of take this back, right? I'll be honest with you, I did trade EU today, and I'll show you guys that EU trade I took. You can see today, this is on a funded account, by the way, with GFT. I'll show you guys in a second. You can see there, I took an EU sell on one of my funded accounts. I think you guys can see it on a GFT funded account. As you guys can see here, this is what a GFT funded account looks like, okay? And I did make $1,000 today, right? Trading EU. Now, this is, I would only say, applicable to me because I would say I'm quite an experienced trader. Whereas if it's somebody who isn't experienced, then you want to trade one pair. You want to stick to one strategy and you want to stick to one time zone, because this is going to eliminate the possibility of you over trading or you taking trades that you shouldn't be taking, which aren't part of your strategy. For example, I only trade in London session, sometimes New York session, but in the majority of London session, I only trade GU mainly, and I only trade one strategy. Now, the reason for this is because it eliminates any possibility, like I said, to take trades that aren't part of my strategy. Whereas if you then open up the possibility to trade, for example, 10 different pairs and 10 different strategies and 10 different or 3 different time zones, because there's only 3 different time zones really, then you're now going to be exposing yourself to more opportunity in the market, which doesn't actually mean more money, right? The best success that I've found, or the most success that I've found, sorry, was when I basically eliminated as much from my trading process as I could. I stopped trading New York session for a long time. I stopped trading EU for a long time. I focused on one strategy, which I still trade to this day. And all of that helped me to make my first 10K a month in trading, right? So it's all about eliminating the things that are holding you back from being successful, whether that is your strategy, whether that's you trading multiple different pairs, or whether that's the other point, which is your time zone. You need to find out which one is holding you back and get rid of that, right? And that will just be an easy fix for your trading. It's all about trying to get 1% better every single day, or 1% better every single month in your trading, right? And you need to actually be journaling your trades, which we'll get into in more detail later on. But you need to be journaling your trades so that you can know if there's an easy fix to help you get that 1% better in your trading, which, by the way, 1% better every single day is going to be insane improvements, right? If you can get 1% better every day, in a year's time, you're going to be a completely different trader, right? Just like how when you go to the gym, for example, I go to the gym quite a lot, and people always say, try and get 1% better every workout, or, you know, if you're, wait, are we still recording? Sorry guys, my camera just fell over. But I'll just finish it up from here, right, on point number 2. You want to focus on trying to get 1% better every single time in your trading, and that comes from journaling. So guys, let me put up the camera again, and I'm just going to continue it. Try to keep it as raw as I possibly can, and just give you guys as much value as I can before this camera runs out of battery. Point number 4, okay, also point number 3 is going to be your ability to utilize prop firms. Now, in 2025, guys, there are literally endless prop firms to pick from. Now, as you guys just saw, I just recently passed actually a funded account with GFT, and as you saw there, I just made $1,000 on that funded account. Now, GFT is one of the many prop firms that they have in the space. You know, you've got loads of different prop firms. Essentially, you want to find a good firm to use and stack as much capital as you can with that firm, because prop firms are the the best way to make money in 2025, honestly. Unless you have thousands of dollars to put into a live account, which most of you don't, then there's no point starting a live account. So instead of using a live account, just use prop firm capital, stack payouts, and then put that into a live account later down the line. But what a lot of people say that I've actually been seeing on TikTok is, oh, live accounts are so much better than funded accounts, blah, 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 blah. But bro, if you don't have money, how are you gonna start a live account? You know, like the worst thing you can do as a trader is put £500, $500, even £2,000 into a live account and think that you're gonna be able to flip it to 10K. That's not a good idea because your risk management is gonna go out the window. Instead, what you could do is put that 2K into, for example, 2 or maybe even 3 200K challenge accounts. And then boom, before you know it, bro, you could have passed yourself like 600K worth of capital from that 2K. And then to make yourself 10K, I mean, what is that? Across 600K is like 0.6%, I think, right? I don't really know, but you know, you don't need to hit a lot of percent to make 10K if you've got enough capital. I think the maths is definitely wrong there. I think it's more like 6%, isn't it? I'm so lost. But guys, you know what's funny is I got an A in A-level maths, but I can't even work that stuff out. That just shows you as well that, I'll be honest, school's a joke. School is not relevant at all because I'm very smart, but I don't know why I forgot almost everything I've learned. Now, maybe my memory's bad, but I don't know. To me, schools are just a joke. Like everything I've learned in school is just not relevant in today's world. The only thing that's relevant is finding a way to make money online. Like seriously, guys, if you're watching this video and you're currently at school or you're at university like I was 2 years ago, find a way to get out of that, bro. You know, like seriously, coming from one kid to another kid, bro. Like I'm only 21. There's so much more to the world. Like guys, look at where I am. I'm sitting right now on literally my condo rooftop. Insane views, right? And you need to understand there's so much more to the world than, you know, you can even possibly imagine. You know, you need to seriously experience freedom, and that's not going to come from working a 9 to 5 or working at university. Okay, now I know I've gone a bit off topic, but let's go back to the funded accounts, right? Funded accounts are literally the best way to scale up quick. If you can get yourself funded, for example, in a 100K funded account, all you need to do, right, is make 10% on that 100K funded, and then you've made 10K in profit, basically, right? Of course, if you've got profit split, that might become 8K, right? But still, all you need to do is get yourself funded, hit maybe 10% on that funded account, and before you know it, you've made 10K. Now, 10%, I'll be honest, you know, is actually quite a lot to make. Some people might say it's not, but it is quite a lot to make. So that's why maybe instead go for 200K funded. And then with 200K funded, guess what? You need to make half. You need to make 5% a month, which is a lot more attainable, right? And before you know it, you can get to the stage where you're funded with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of funded capital dollars. And then to make $10,000 is literally to make like 1%, you know? And then you start to realize that 10K is actually not a lot. You know, when I hit my first 10K month from trading, this is a problem, right? Because obviously you're never satisfied. When you hit your first 10K, 5K, when you hit your first payout, right? I remember my first payout, you're never satisfied, right? You never are like, you never really take a moment to appreciate it, ever. Like even now, right? Even now, I know I've done well, but I don't appreciate how well I've done, which is really bad to say, but that's just how it goes. So if you want some advice on how it's going to feel when you make your first 10K from trading, you won't really feel anything. You won't even feel good. Like, you know, you'll feel good for a couple minutes, for a day. You'll probably go out with your friends and celebrate, but after that, you're going to be like, bro, I want more, bro. That's not enough. Like, that's literally how it goes with trading. It's crazy, man. It's actually crazy because, you know, you're never going to be like satisfied with what you make. Like, and that's why money for me now isn't really the goal, because I know that no matter how much I make, it's not really going to change anything. Like, you know, hitting 100K a month is sort of my next goal, right? But even then, even now, I know that if I hit 100K in a month, it really won't change my life much anyway. Like, I was thinking about this the other day, like, if I was to hit 100K in a month from trading, like, I probably wouldn't even leave Thailand. You know, like, I really just like my life right now. Like, you don't need a lot to be happy in life. Like, bro, just eating this mango every day with these amazing views behind me, that's enough for me, man. So, go. Now, let me actually go on to the next point. So, the next point is going to be sort out your lifestyle, right? Your sleep, your diet, your screen time, it all affects your trading edge, okay? And there's real life examples of this, 100%. If for example, you're not keeping fit, if you're not going to the gym, then the likelihood is that when it comes to trading, if you can't keep fit, if you can't keep your body fit, which is literally the most important thing in your life, by the way, if you don't have a fit body, if you're not in shape, like, that's the first thing. Before you even start trading, bro, you need to get in shape, because this is literally that's who you are. Like, bro, if you can't get yourself in shape and if you don't go to the gym, you're not going to be a good trader. Like, I'm sorry, bro, but that's just how it goes, because trading and the gym go hand in hand. You need the discipline from the gym to carry you over to trading. Now, you don't need to be a bodybuilder, right? I obviously lift a lot of weights, but you don't need to be like me in the gym. As long as you're doing some sort of exercise to build that mental resilience, then that will carry over to trading. But the worst thing you can do is do nothing. If you're doing nothing, that's literally, it's fucking terrible. Like, if you're not doing anything and you're just trying to learn how to trade, you're not gonna make it, bro. So yeah. Now, of course, diet comes into that a lot. When it comes to diet, you obviously, and people, by the way, people are probably gonna think this is bullshit. People might be thinking, oh, I'm trying to learn how to trade, not trying to get in better shape, so leave me the fuck alone. But bro, you know, trading is not like most incomes. In order to be a trader, you have to level up everything in your life. You don't just become a trader without doing everything else behind the scenes, okay? Now, diet and sleep come into this as well, because if you're not having good sleep, guess what? When you go into the charts, you're gonna be tired, you're gonna be lazy, you're probably gonna fall asleep at the charts. Now, bro, I did this. When I was at uni, I was at uni studying to become an accountant. I was trading, right, in my lectures, which I don't advise doing, but I was doing it anyway. And I was working a weekend job, right? And I think one day during the week. Now, that made me tired, and I was going to the gym. And I was strong in the gym. I was pushing myself hard in the gym, right? I was tired, bro. And there was days where, in fact, every day, I'd be in my lecture. I think I slept through every lecture, bro. Like, honestly, I would say, like, towards the end of the year when I was really focused. Sorry guys, I don't know what happened there. But yeah, as I was saying, towards the end of the year when I was really locked in with trading, I was sleeping through every lecture, and that's not good, because, you know, you have to have a good routine of sleep and diet and everything else so that your trading isn't impacted. So I guess that's point number 5. And also, before I go on to it, right, you know, your distractions and your friendship groups is also a big part of that as well. If you're hanging around with the wrong people who influence you negatively, then that's also going to be bad for your trading. And that's why I say, honestly, all of my friends now, I didn't know these guys 2 years ago. I didn't know any of my friends 2 years ago. And the reason is because I had to change my friendship group. And that's just part of life, bro. Like, my friends now, they're absolute legends. I didn't know these guys 2 years ago, but they're very, very good friends now. And it's because you need to change your circle to really level up your life. And people don't want to do that. People would rather just say, oh no, it's fine, I can be successful but while going to the pub every weekend with my friends who are lazy, who hold me back, who don't keep me accountable, who make fun of me for working out and going to the gym and trying to improve my life. Yeah, I can make it work. No, you can't. No, you can't. Who's gonna make it work more, bro? Answer this in your head right now. The person who has a killer group of friends, for example, like me, right? Or the person who is a killer, but their friends are weak-minded, they don't motivate them, they don't push them to achieve their goals, they're losers, and they go to the pub every day. I don't even need to answer that fucking question, bro, because you know the answer yourself. And if that is you, change, like, you know, don't, when I say change your friendship group, it's not as easy just, oh, let's just ditch these guys and go to this group. It's not, you can't do that, right? Of course not. You need to actually build yourself up on your own so that you can attract the right sort of friends. Like I said, I only knew these people now because I'm the sort of person who they want to be around, because I'm successful. But that only comes from building yourself up first. So if that means you need to leave your friendship group to build on your own, to become the man you need to become, to attract the right sort of people, then go and do that. But, you know, you need to make sacrifices in this game of learning how to trade. And all of these points which I'm giving you are all equally as important. And I would say that they're all necessary to become successful in trading. Now, there's a few more points to go over, right? But I'm just going to focus mainly on this one because I want to wrap it up. And I want this video to leave you guys with an impact that you're going to remember, okay? When it comes to trading, give yourself a why. Your why needs to be, in fact, let me actually sit a bit closer to the camera. Bear with me, boys and girls, right? Your why needs to be the reason why you're doing this, bro. You need to have a purpose in life. Not just making money, not just getting a good girlfriend, not just having a nice house, not just having a nice car. You know, you're going to see all of these people on social media having all of these things, but do they actually have a why? You know, why are they doing this? What's the purpose? Because I can tell you for a fact, if you don't have a purpose and you have a why, you can make as much money as you want, but if you're not doing it for the right reasons, that money is probably going to go. And secondly, you're not going to be happy with the money you make, ever, okay? And that's because you don't have a solid why. You don't know why you're actually doing what you're doing. You know, you're making tens of thousands of dollars, but you don't really know why. And if you don't know why, you're not going to be satisfied. Now, in addition to that, if you don't know why you're doing it, you're probably not even going to make it to that point in the first place, because how are you going to make 10K a month if you don't even know why you're trying to do it, right? So give yourself a why, give yourself a valid reason for why you're trying to do something, so that when you're trying to achieve this goal of 10K a month or 10K in a trade, whatever, now you have a greater purpose, a greater reason for why you're doing it. Now it isn't just, oh, I want to make 10K to put in my bank, or to buy a fucking Louis Vuitton bag to impress some girls in the club or some shit. But now you have a why, you have a reason, whether that is for your family or, you know, to provide for your sick daughter or your sick, like, sister, bro. I don't even know, right? For me, it's personally just to provide for my family when they all get old, right? And just be that person who can help everybody out. And if you don't have that reason, then you don't really like have a reason to be successful. Then it's going to be very tricky for you to actually be successful. You need a purpose, okay? So a good thing that I would recommend is I would really think to yourself, and actually I'll try and throw up a picture of this, right? I don't think I'm going to have one, but I did have on my wall, just sort of imagine it. Imagine my wall at university. It had a load of posters, and most of the posters were about trading, but on one of the posters, it had my whys, right? Now my whys were, you know, important stuff like retiring my mum, retiring my dad, providing for my family, all of this stuff, right? Paying my mum's mortgage, which eventually I will do, okay? Now, those are your whys. That's why you're going to do it. That's why you're learning how to trade and you're putting yourself through this in the first place. You know, if, for example, right, I know a lot of people who subscribe to me, you guys are from poorer countries, some places in Africa. If that's your why, to, you know, provide for your family who are less fortunate, then that's good, man. That's what you need to be doing. You need a why, you need like a reason to keep going. And that is what's going to motivate you to keep on working hard. Now, some people will have it easier than others. You know, like I did grow up in quite a good family. You know, like I live in London, I've got a nice house, whatever. So for me, my family aren't like doing terribly, but at the same time, you know, I still want to help them out as much as I can. So that's my why. Now you got to find your own reason why you're doing this all. But, you know, at the end of the day, that should be your focus. Give yourself a reason, write that reason on some paper, stick it on your wall. read it out to yourself every day, affirm it every single day, why you're doing what you're doing, who you're doing this for, the end vision, and eventually that will become reality. Now, a good person to watch about this is actually Nero Knowledge. I don't know if you guys know him. I actually might, this is interesting here. If you guys know Nero Knowledge, okay, I might start doing his whiteboard style videos. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, right? But I'm thinking this could be a very good idea for me and for you. I might start doing whiteboard videos where I literally buy myself a massive whiteboard and I explain certain points about psychology in tons of detail on this whiteboard. And it's just going to be like 40 minutes of raw video, just like this one, where I quite literally just sit there or stand there and, you know, go deep and deep and deep into psychology or into strategy on the whiteboard. And I think that could be really good. So let me know in the comments what you think about that, okay? Because that could be a very, very interesting video. And I think improving psychology is one of the keys to becoming successful in trading. Like, psychology literally is the backbone for my trading. This was actually the second trade, for example, I've taken this week, right? I had a break-even trade on Wednesday. Then I had this trade today. It was a small win, very small win, only literally 1% on that account. But still, you know, a win's a win. But yeah, I mean, it's been a hard week, but at the point I'm trying to get to is psychology is the key to being successful, because if I didn't have psychology in place, then I probably wouldn't have been able to maintain my discipline and take these trades and avoid losing, because there was a lot of losing trades as well this week. So psychology is key. And by the way, guys, while I'm on this topic, if you're looking to get, you know, really detailed one-to-one help on psychology and also your strategy, then hit the link below in the description and I can help you out with that if you basically just apply through my website. So yeah, now let's go on to the next point. The next point, guys, is going to be starting over once you have a losing trade, for example, or when you blow an account. Your mind goes into a mental reset, and for some reason you think that because you've lost a trade or because you've blown an account, it's something that you need to address. For some reason you feel like it's an issue with you, and because of that reason it makes you change your strategy or change your psychology in some sort of way, or change your risk management next time you take the trade, or become more scared next time you look to take a similar trade to the one that lost. Okay, now this is what you want to avoid. You want to avoid changing your strategy, changing your psychology. All of these things will be bad for your trading. And what you need to understand is a losing trade or a break-even trade or a winning trade is down to probability and it's not down to you. So a good way to think about it is like this, right? I actually made a video on this the other day on my Instagram, which, by the way, guys, if you don't follow me on my Instagram, follow me right here. This is my new Instagram, Sal Sanchez. This video was basically saying that in a period of, for example, 20 days, you might have an A-class trade on Monday, an A-class trade on Tuesday, then you might have a missed trade or no trade on Wednesday, then an A-class trade on Thursday, and then after Thursday, you might go through a period where you have literally no trades for maybe 1 or 2 weeks. Now, if your psychology is bad, and if you can't comprehend that this is acceptable in the markets, that you don't need to trade for 1 or 2 weeks, then guess what? In those 1 or 2 weeks, that's where you're going to blow your accounts. That's where you're going to let your psychology slip up. That's where you're going to change your strategy, and from that point onwards, never find success, because you've literally left everything behind which you were working so hard to achieve, such as learning a good strategy. Okay, and what you need to understand from what I'm trying to show you and visualize right now is that after that period of 2 weeks of losing, or 2 weeks of no trades, sorry, not losing but no trades because there was no setups, then guess what? On the Monday of the 3rd week, you're going to have an A-class setup, but guess what? You're not going to take that setup. And the reason why is because you've now changed your strategy from those 2 weeks of no trades, or you've changed your psychology. You're now not confident to take the trade when it comes to that next A-class setup. And guess what? Now, right, now that you've missed that A-class setup, then you go back the next day to thinking, oh, maybe my setups are coming back again. maybe now I should look to take a trade on Tuesday, right? And then guess what? There's no trade. But even though there's no trade, you're still forced to trade because you missed the one on Monday. And the reason you missed the one on Monday is because you changed your strategy on the 2 weeks there was no trades. And as a result, you go through it like literally a never-ending spiral of failure after failure after failure, and you never see success. Like, that's literally, bro, that's the best way I can explain it to you guys, right? If you slip up one time, it's not you slipping up one time, it's you literally slipping up one time, which has the potential to affect the rest of your week or the rest of your month for trading because of that one slip up. So this is how important it is to have good psychology, or to understand your strategy to a really good level. And I mean really good, to the point where you know if you're trading or not, right? And that's how you need to be as a trader. And this is all going to come from doing all of the 6 or 5 points or 7 points I said previously to this one, okay? Everything's important. All of these points I've said are as equally as important, because without one, you can't really do the other. Without having a routine in your trading, which will probably come from the gym initially, it's going to be very hard for you to master a strategy. Without you having a good routine, psychology is probably not going to be good, because you're not going to be used to working hard and maintaining discipline. Without having a good strategy, how are you going to have good psychology? Because you don't know what you're looking for every single day. So how are you going to have the right psychology in your trading, right? Everything's as equally as important. And this is what you need to understand in trading. It's not about trying to master one thing, but it's about trying to become a master of all of these little things, right? All of these small little things that, when put together, when mastered all together as one in unison, will make you an excellent trader. But it only comes from you, first of all, taking the time to acknowledge that you are making mistakes, right? Or you are lacking discipline in your personal life. And now, a really good example of this, right, which I want to end with, okay, is one of my students in Trading Edge Mastery called Michael, right? Michael had a massive problem with discipline. This guy was, I remember calling me sometimes saying, bro, I woke up again at 3 p.m. I'm just tired. I can't be bothered to do this. I missed the trading analysis. I missed the live trading that you do in the morning because I was tired. I couldn't be bothered to get out of bed. You know, a massive discipline problem, which then stopped him from seeing trading success. He's now worked on this, and he's now passed, I think, in total, maybe a few 100K challenges by now. And it's because he improved the discipline. So improving your discipline can literally be the key to success, and you need to address this. And that's why I'm making this video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe. Peace.